Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking with MJ, where your thoughts become your power and your mindset becomes your compass. MJ is here to guide you through a journey of self-awareness, emotional mastery, and empowered living.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Want to make
Yeah, man. Just feel it. Let it flow. Peace and love in the air, you know. Woke up with the sun on my face. Breathing deep in this holy space. Feeling good, no need to race. The rhythm of life moves at its pace. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky. Love in our hearts, no need to ask why. Dance with the trees, sing with the breeze. The world of conscience puts the mind at ease. Colors swirl in my open mind. Truth and joy in the thoughts I find. A smile's the cure, a word's the key. Positive thinking sets you free. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky.
Hey, good morning. Smoke in our eyes. What a beautiful, beautiful summer morning. We're almost to the summer solstice on the 21st. I always welcome that because that 21st is my queen, my mother's birthday, that summer solstice. She is that crab. She always says, well, I'm on the cusp. I just think she is just a beautiful Cancer in herself. And today, before we get into the angel numbers, we're doing something called service to self or service to others. Which one are you, or are you both? And sometimes people go, well, how can we be both? Yes, you can. So service to self is a philosophical and a spiritual orientation that most famously define the esoteric texts like the law of one. If you ever hear of the law of one, where the individual focuses all of their energy and their intent and their evolution entirely on their own advancements, often all that are expense to themselves and others. So we call this service to self or service to others. Depending on the vibrations and how healed one is, we get to vibe more and more and more. While we're either spiritual and esoteric context, or we are philosophical spectrum where it's selfishness and selflessness. And then you have another side of it that we go through. And when we go into those sides, now we have to really think, what is the law of one trying to tell us? Okay. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Joel. Joel is in the back, so don't say anything bad about Joel. He's in the back. So anyway, so that's where we're going to go today, because possibly, maybe it's going to help individuals to access, wait a minute, I'm truly am service to self and I'm not giving to service to others, or I have depleted all my service to others and I have forgotten service to self. So some people look at service to others as bad. I don't see that. Our service to others, our service to self, or it's both. You have to have both. It is a balance. Everything in life is this beautiful balance of nirvana if you allow it to. So we're going to practice this service to others and service to self, because with that movement, we can understand, okay, it's time to give back, or it's time to rescind, right? I'm exhausted of giving. it's time to rescind. So that's what today is. How do we know those markers and those meters? Where do we place ourselves? And how is it that we can find the balance? Who are the people who are service to others? Yes, I'm on a veteran station. So, of course, we are service to others at every given aspect. If you served, you have honored that service to self. And that service to self is admirable in this beautiful month and this beautiful couple of months here, because we go from Memorial Day and then we go right into having the month for the veterans. We go into Flag Days and then we go into D-Days, and you can see all, the Normandies, and you can see, how we ended up where we are on the 4th of July. And I love United States of America. God, man, and country. I stand for that. I stand for which I serve. I know the DJs here stand for that. I know sometimes life can get rough, but when we have rough, we either have to see if it is, how is it affecting us, or is it just our egos and our judgments? But we still have to be service to others. So we have to watch our tones, our words exactly, and we have to monitor very carefully. Okay. Let's get into the angel number since we're already here. Today is June the 8th, 2026, or 060826. You put all that together and it's a magical 4. You know the fours? So 8 is infinite. So I love that today is an 8 because it does mean that we are infinite. It's an infinite amount of joy, happiness, abundance, life. You create it and it's there. Good morning, Tony. And so it results in a 4. So when you see that number 4, to the angels are confirming that they are near you and that they want you to know that they are ready to assist to make all of your dreams come true. Manifest, 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 right? Know that the angels always hear your thoughts and your prayers. They are surrounding you with love every day. Angel power word today. Happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy, right? We have to learn when we wake up to be happy, put that smile on our face, move forward, understand the energetics, and understand that it is such a beautiful world. It's summer, the summer solstice, and the birds and all of the flora and fauna are coming to life and it's birthing. So, happiness. What a beautiful word from the angels today, happiness. Also, it says that it contains the number 82. So if it contains the number 82, the abundance angels are here to bring that balance back to your financial concerns. The solution to your financial solution is to choose happiness. It is like an accelerator of an abundance. Okay, let me stop there. When we worry about money, our vibrations go down. When we say we are full of an abundance, I'm not saying prosperity or wealth. Notice, I'm like, I am full of abundance. Whatever that abundance who wants to come to me, I am open, ready to receive. It's a mantra, right? We want the abundance. We want that. We want that love. We want that care. We want that the nirvana of pure, just euphoric happiness. So I love this. Because finances are an abundance. It's abundance of prosperity, right? What you put in comes out. What you serve to others comes right back in an energetic exchange. And maybe that could be money. So I wanted to stop there because that's a crucial thing about service to self and service to others. That financial piece right there. Okay, let's go on. So it's like happiness. It's like an accelerated abundance. The angels give you permission to choose happiness today. There is no need to wait. It is time to allow the money to flow. So get those baskets out, get ready to carry like that slot machine. Ding, 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 ding. All the lights are going off. Get ready. Believe, and honor that abundance today. Honor it today. Beautiful money to start the week, knowing that maybe contracts are going to come through, knowing that what we have going forward with the fire horse and the energy of the blue moon, everything is already in the past, all of our troubles. And now we're just here to have beautiful, beautiful motivation, beautiful happiness, beautiful conscious positive, and just loving life again. That number contains 26. We all know that 26 empowers the abundance because we say it. It's the year of 26. So the angels know that you feel empowered when you feel compassion for others. But now they're asking you to feel the same compassion for yourself. There's no coincidence with angel numbers. I love it. I love it. It's so very important that you say no to requests that make you feel uneasy or that you are not feeling at the moment. That is true to you. Trust these sensations in your body, that these are your inner compasses. The angel number also contains the number 60 today. Hand over any concerns that you may have about your family or a family member. Please know that the angels are around you now, providing extra support, love, and healing. You can assist the angels by visualizing your family members being surrounded with the colors pink and green every day. Go out and get yourself a Unikite. Tell them MJ sent you. Go get a Unikite gemstone. They are green and pink. They root you into earth. They help stabilize the healing patterns coming all the way up to the heart. And knowing the heart is always of love, happiness, and joy. There's 12 petals around the heart. This is where they want you to be. That's beautiful. That is such a beautiful reading today from the angels. Thank you so much, because we relish in your joy. We relish in it. Okay. So now we're going to go back. I have to get my notes up here. We're going to go back to service to others versus service to self. It is a very deep spiritual and practical exploration. The concepts of service to others and service to self appear in many spiritual traditions, philosophies, and psychological teachings. Although the terminology varies from genre to genre, the central question remains the same. So we're going to go to the question, and then we're going to take a really quick break, because Jewel made a beautiful song. I saw that it was in my library this morning, and we're going to play it, and then we're going to continue. So here's the questions that remain. Why do I do what I do? How many people do something and then sit and go, oh my God, what did I just do? Gosh, why does my mouth? Right. Why does our mouth? Because our mouths are trained by man and conditioned patterns of moral. The guilt that comes after saying something is that moral guilt, right? Or we understood that we saw a lady struggling, and on an older, man struggling across the street, and we just allowed it, right? Pennsylvania, where I live, very rural, a lot of elderly people. I was at a stop sign, not a stop light, a stop sign, and there was a car in front of me. And I waited, and there was nothing coming. And then maybe a minute later, and a minute's a long time if you're waiting in a car, it seems like forever. And all of a sudden, this car comes, and I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's a new time driver. I didn't really think about it too much, just, making it positive. A new time driver, got scared. I mean, I was there at 16, 15 in my permit, and nothing. They still didn't move. Even after the car passed, it still didn't move. So I waited and waited. And then the Miami side of me came in. Honk, 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 honk. And I'm like, oh my God, MJ, what are you doing? You're not in Miami. Get out your damn car. I get out my car, and this poor gentleman had fallen asleep at the wheel. He's probably in late 80s. And I had to step back. I was service to myself because I was in a hurry to go do what I was going to do. And I wasn't service to others. You see how that worked? MJ. So that was a lesson for me. That I hope with my lesson, you might be able to learn that lesson as well, which is let's try to be kinder. Let's try to be more aware. Let's try of understanding what others might be going through, even if we can't at the moment. Service to others. So here's the questions before we go to Joel's little music that he wrote. I don't think it's his voice, but I know he definitely wrote it. I'll have to ask whose voice it is. It could be just an AI voiceover, but he wrote the words. So he's like a songwriter. So here we go. Why do I do what I do? Are our thoughts, choices, and actions primarily directed toward the welfare of others, or toward our own needs, desires, and advancements? I'm going to give you a clue. The answer is really obsolete. are absolute. Most people embody a mixture of both. But I want you to sit back while we listen and think about, were we to the welfare of others or toward our own needs, desires, and advancements? Which one are we primarily? Are we well balanced? Are we not? We're going to dig into that. But first, folks, you're listening to Military Broadcast Radio, or mbradio.us. And we are here on today, Monday the 9th, is my show, The World of Conscious Positive Thinking. And let's see, we're going to go to I Never Really Came Back Home by Joel Hunt. And we'll see you here in a couple minutes.
They thank me for my service. They shake my hand and smile. They say you made it home now, but they don't see the miles. And they don't hear the silence when the world goes to sleep, or see the ghost beside me in the memories I keep. I still see dusty highways, hear the rotor blades above, still see the folded flag handed to the ones they loved. And every single Memorial Day feels like I'm there again, standing in the middle of goodbye, losing brothers, losing friends. 'Cause I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole. But every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. For some it's just a holiday, a barbecue a day away. But for those who wore the uniform, the hurt never fades away. It's birthdays they'll never celebrate, kids growing up without their dad, mothers holding pictures close, trying not to break too bad. And I asked God why I made it, why my sea was still filled, why I got another sunrise while my brothers never will. There ain't a medal for the guilt, no parade can heal the pain. You just learn to keep on breathing while it pours like endless rain. I never really came back home. Part of me got left behind, with the names carved into stone and the tears that families hide. Everybody says I survived, like somehow I should feel whole. But every day I carry them deep within my soul. I made it back breathing, but I lost so much alone. The truth is, after war, I never really came back home. If you see me staring quiet, please don't think I don't care. I'm just talking to the memories of the ones no longer there. And every laugh, every freedom, every flag that waves today was paid for by the broken hearts of the ones who couldn't stay. No, I never really came back home, though my boots touch American soil. Part of me stayed on that battlefield, in the smoke and fear and turmoil. So this Memorial Day, remember, freedom came with heavy cost, and some of us are still searching for the pieces that were lost. I'm still here fighting battles that the world may never know, 'cause the day I came home alive was the day I lost my home.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, folks, welcome back. Okay, so a couple of things. I have another announcement before we go in, and I totally mustered it. However, speaking of Joel has a press release, and the press release is about All Dogs Deserve Dads and Moms. It is a new animated side, and one of the animators called Hillbilly Drawer is the Colorado, can't remember the football team. Anyway, it's Brandon Stockley. And Joel happens to be a very close person with Brandon, and he asked him to be the voiceover for this beautiful animation. So this press release, I'm going to stick it up here in the comments for you all. Paste it. So that way, if you're interested in reading the press release about our animation that's coming up, June 15th will be the first one. It's on the app. So if you don't have the app, get onto our app. It is off of Military Broadcast Radio, but it's called mbradio.us. And you can see our little app. Beaker is our mascot. He normally leads the way. And you'll be able to see our first animation, and it's about service dogs. So most of you know I had a beautiful 2 service dogs. I had Mindy and Dixie I just lost about a year ago. The grief was undeniable. It's something. It is. She was definitely service to others, that little dog, and so was Mindy. So what a joy to see these animators and what they come up with our beautiful healers and service dogs, and how we all move forward. Okay. Any questions? Right there, I posted the link. Y'all just click on it. You can read all about Brandon and Joel and how they're moving forward, and get to the app, because June 15th, it'll be a beautiful, beautiful animation with our beautiful pets. Okay. Back to service to self or service to others. Service to self is really often misunderstood, and it does not automatically mean selfishness or narcissism or cruelty. A lot of people want to point that direction. So yes, it can. When somebody is committed to only themselves, then yes, there are some psychological ailments about that. You know, when you continuously help somebody, but they don't have that energetic exchange back, you kind of sit there and question, or you wonder. So at the healthiest level, service to self, really, it can include self-preservation. How many times have you heard me say, when I don't like an energy, or I can't understand an energy, or it gets just overwhelmingly negative, MJ, I pull back. Why? Because I need to discern this energy. I don't want to use judgment. I don't want to use my ego. And that's what's happening to a lot around the world. Their first take is always by judgment or by ego, or they're just pissed off, right? Oh, he didn't do that for us. Okay. So out of the bajillion things that somebody has in life, and that one particular thing is really hearted to you, do you consider at all, you know, maybe he or she hasn't seen it. Maybe he or she doesn't, you know, it's in a pile of stuff. You know, maybe he or she has a lot going on. Maybe it's there. You know, how many veterans out here who are in CNPs and wait years. I was disabled in 1987. I did not get my 100% P&T. Total and permanent, or T&P. Total and permanent. I don't ever have to go through compensations again, because they can't fix it. They broke it, but they can't fix it. They literally, I involuntarily took experimental vaccine for Desert Storm for my brothers and sisters of arms. I am not at all unhappy about it. I would do anything for service to others. That's who I am. So, but I'm just saying, if I would get mad at every damn president from 1987 until 2012, 2009, my doctor resubmitted yelling at the Department of Interior of Veterans or whatever, and wrote this letter on my behalf. And that had bounds and bounds of papers. So yes, I had to become service to self in order for me to be honored. And I had to wait, and I had to have self-preservation. But it happened. Why? Because the truth always comes out. I have faith. If I don't have faith, I don't know what I'm doing here on the world of conscious positive thinking, because it's about faith. It's about having the choices that we make, turn them into personal growth, which is service to self. Healthy boundaries, service to self. Self-care, service to self. Developing talents and abilities to move forward, service to self. And pursuing goals and purpose, service to self. Nobody else on service to others can do that for you. So service to self must play a role. It must, in order for us to have service to others. Because once we fix what's broken, we become a beautiful energetic source to allow that same level of energy, or that same energy event, to help others through it. That's why veterans, I see more and more, especially on MBR, I see more health, motivation, spiritual. It's all coming through. When I first came, there's maybe 2 or 3. There's a lot of us now that are talking about conscious awareness, conscious positive. They don't say conscious positives. What they say is motivations or inspirations, or they're inspiring, but it's the same thing. It truly is the same thing. And in to service to self, which is, we call it STS, that and those little categories right there, it speaks volume. Spirituality, that I'm groomed in, it asks. We always, in spirituality, we ask. We don't, we ask. What do I need in order to become whole? A lot of people feel broken when they come out of the military or they go into war. They're broken. They feel, they were my exact words when I watched somebody get blown up. I'm broken. I could not. I suppressed it so bad that when it came to fruition, I grieved. It hurt. I didn't have the shame, but I had the guilt. I had a lot of those different emotions, but I had to take that emotion and I had to remove the surroundings and understand my part. Father, forgive my part. Father, forgive those that we've lost our way. Father, forgiveness, right? It's always back into the Father. Father, forgive me. Divine, forgive me. God, forgive me. However you want to place it in your nomenclatures of your practice of religion or denomination, that's what we do, right? Because we're not broken. We are whole. We just have an event in our life that, being service to others, created a service to self and an attack that I immediately had to make a decision, right? It was my life or their life. They're the veterans online. Now, for people who are listening who are not veterans, I want to explain something. When you go through life and you are helping your neighbors, or you see that there's a dysfunction in your town, do you stay at home? Or do you go out to help to where you can help defend and quiet? Which one are you? Are you service to self or service to others? If you can understand an event and understand that, there is safety involved, more people, I think, would be service to others. But I believe that in today's world, that service to others becomes a decision of, okay, well, I'm watching TV and I see this is what's happening on this, and I don't want to get involved, so I'm just going to stay home. Even though I believe in what they're trying to bring forward, I just don't need that. So these are prioritizing healing their traumas, right? So a person operating from a balance of service to self, they start prioritizing, right? Is this going to heal their trauma? Establishing firm boundaries? Build a successful business? Okay, I want to stop there. Because when I was doing this and I was doing the writing, one of the things I had said, I got to a certain level and I would say it is incredibly difficult to have so many years of business development school, having a business, and then honoring my faith. It was hard because business, being a successful business person, is truly service to self. I flipped it. And I want you to flip it if you're a business person. If you are a business person that has a grocery store, your service to others. Sometimes when we're taught, things of the past can't make sense in the present or in the future because those ideologies change, right? So we have to keep evolving. And I literally went, I cannot own these businesses and be serviced. I can't be this person, this spiritualist, some people called me out when they said I was in the military. They started calling me out. I was like, but that's service to others. What did you do for others or your country? So it's an antagonizing thing, especially when I gave up the hunting, the fishing, and the Everglades tourism. And I truly said, I need to go into my faith. And when I made that definite split in 2014, my life became very different. I became very attacked because people couldn't understand that I'm only positive and they don't like when I'm like twist it or flip it. So establishing these boundaries is incredibly important. Building a successful business, you can have a business service to others. In fact, I started thinking about businesses. Well, I'm trying to think of a business that would not be service to others. Everything I did as a Reiki practitioner, holistic practitioner, a metaphysical store, a juicing store, a grounding into Mother Nature through Everglades Nature Tours, or my Soul Cave, or my Natively Rooted, who sold all different types of instruments around the world. Like we are rooted. And I had to flip it because it was really pressing on me that people was thinking that I was just a business developer and I was all about money. But I cared for the people. I wanted to do something to give back to the people. Numerous times I gave stones away. Numerous times I gave just a quick chakra alignment away. And because they were buying stones, but I could see that they weren't even aligned to use the stones. So buying my stones, my service to others came back into, doing that. So service to self was having the business to actually create an energetic exchange. Why? Because I knew whatever they were purchasing for their religions or their denomination, even the churches who would come and buy the pontifical for their, the incense, the resins, for, the Easter times where the church or your pastors or your priests will go down with, the incense, the frankenmyrrh, and I would sell it to the churches. So for me, my theory for this whole concept of service to self switched. Service to self, it protects sometimes the energy that you have in store, and it develops mastery in a craft that is necessary. So in this form, service to self is extremely necessary. And it's very positive and it's very rewarding. It really is, because we're giving back, even though it's about us. So I love that concept. It is an enjoyment, even tourism in a way. I look back at the hunting and fishing tourisms. How is that service to others? Well, because people wanted to go fishing because it made them happy. People wanted to go hunting for meat, right? Or people wanted to see truly raw Everglades, not a tourist trap, right? They wanted to learn. So as I flip it, it's like business can be service to others and service to self. It can be, even though I stressed way back when, because I'm like, I don't want people's money. Everything I learned was going out the door, going into my reverendship of light, right? So it's a true and necessary. You cannot pour from an empty can. If I cannot organize my life and be able and stable, how can I possibly heal somebody else who is not, who is unhealed? I'm just adding more unhealed energy to that beautiful soul. And then it just becomes this very big empty cup. And then we go down the rabbit hole to the hamster wheel. And then we can't get out because we then allowed service to self sabotage ourselves. That's when we have that empty cup. So the shadow side of service to self. So if people don't know what the shadow side means, it is some of these things that we've pushed behind and we don't want to fix. They either cause us too much turmoil, they cause us a lot of stress, they cause us to be overwhelmed, they cause anxieties, they cause fear. So when we have those issues and we take them to the extreme, service to self, now we become manipulative. Then we have domination. Then we have excessive control, greed, entitlement, and exploitation. And the sad part of this is most people don't even see them in themselves. So I always tell people, step back, take a resolution for yourself. Figure out, are you this? Who are you? Where are you? Why do I do this? Why do I say this? Right? People have an anger. And I love this. When I look at somebody, I'm like, breathe. They're like, I'm allowed to be angry. I didn't say you couldn't be angry. I just said breathe. Breathe into that anger. Breathe into that pain. Of course, an emotion is there to be healed. Any negative or lower vibrational emotion that we feel is a concept of an event that we must learn, that we must push through. So understand service to self, if done properly. Okay, sorry for the wind. But if it's done properly, you create an abundance of service to others. When greed gets in and entitlement gets in, somebody who constantly has to have a title, I refuse titles. My staff can understand it. I have refused a title since 1998. I know after the military, I didn't want a title. I didn't want a rank. Who are you? I'm MJ. My name is Mary Jo at my birth. People found it a little troublesome, so they call me MJ. That's who I am. I'm not a CEO, a president. Why does titles matter? Titles start becoming a service to self issue because you're so goal oriented. You need everybody to know who you are. And when they do, does it make any difference? Ask yourself that. Sometimes in business, for the business people who are unhealed, they'll tell you, are you the owner? No. Well, I'm sorry. Can I speak to the owner? No, the owner's not available right now. Well, I can only speak to the owner. Well, I guess you're not speaking. And it would be me on the phone, but I just refuse because it was already sabotaging the way the links for me were supposed to. Who are you? What is it that I can do for you? What do you want? Right? These are the questions when somebody calls you cold calling. Don't cold call me. And I answer the phone with cold calls, right? I'm sorry, do I know you? I don't even know how you know my name. I don't know any part of this. Did I ask for this? No. Then why are you calling me? Cold call was never a part of my business that I liked. I understand it in business for those who are service to self only in a negative way, but not service to others. So the central belief then becomes my needs matter more than everyone else's. That's service to self when it gets dangerous. The spiritual lesson here is often connected to separations. The individual sees themselves very distinct from the whole that seeks power, that seeks control, that seeks status or security above all else. So sit back. Do you demand that? Are you an Capricorns? A lot of Capricorns are service to self. I was a Capricorn. I am still am a Capricorn, not was, but I am a Capricorn. But I am versed Capricorn, where I know my negatives that hurt me. I know the negatives that hurt others. So I'm very aware and conscious of those qualities that I was born within that energy. And we all are. I always say zodiacs, Ayurvedics, Chinese, whatever one, numerology, numbers of your birthday, all these differences, you become aware of how to heal. They're not just there, to say, oh, you're allowed to be angry today because it's in your zodiac. Get the hell out of here. You're allowed to, have a problem because it's in your zodiac. Get out of here again. That doesn't work that way. So just be cautious, be aware, right? Conscious awareness, conscious positive thinking is where it's at. This wind is driving me. I have to fix it on break. So it just allows themselves a distinction from the world and the whole and seeks power, control, status, security above everything. So historically, many tyrants, corrupt leaders, and exploitative individuals, they demonstrate that extreme service to self conditions and consciousness. There are some military generals, colonels, who exploit service to self, right? They really take it to another level. For instance, you ever see A Few Good Men, right? With Jack Nicklaus. Explain, right? There's a perfect service to self. His way or no way. It really wasn't the service way, but it was his way or no way because of his fears and his anxieties and his emotional trauma. So that's why it says historically, there's many tyrants who are brought up into a leadership, and these tyrants will be very explosive. And this is an understanding of saying, this is really bad service to self that we haven't really healed, but we're going to pull back so that we can heal it. Oh my goodness, this air. So understand those. If you don't, comment, write, and then I'll go through them more. And then understanding service to others. Service to others always focuses on compassion, cooperation, generosity, healing, community, and collective well-being. That's service to others. Look at those beautiful words. They're just, I don't know. To me, compassion, that's my word of the year. And it always somehow pops up. And it means I have to have more compassion. It really does. So if somebody is trying to heal themselves and they make repetitive mistakes, and you know this, if you truly are service to others, you have the compassion and you have the healing mechanisms to allow the wait time for that light bulb of those who are unhealed to come on, right? It takes very special people to put out there that I'm here to help you and then not complain about it. Have you ever seen those people? They want to be service to others, but there's so much service to others, they leave no time for themselves, and then they start to exploit themselves all over social media. how they constantly give and give and give and nobody gives back. I was part and parcel of that at one point in my life. I'm like, how much do I have to give in order to get a millimeter of something? I was talking about dishes at the time. and I laugh, but within a household, how many times do I have to just keep giving until you become aware that I'm doing all of this and you didn't take your part? Well, it's the same in business. It really is. You can find that you have overachievers. And so, what does a business person do when they find overachievers? They abuse them. Yeah, I said it. You abuse them. You have them work endlessly, not getting paid correctly. But as a business owner, you know that they're trustworthy. Even in family businesses, you always have that one person who is over. I mean, other people are out having fun, out doing their thing, but yet your load becomes very, very big. But then it happens where now enough was enough and the straw broke the camel's back because there's not service to self. It was all service to others. And now we're explosive. Right. And now we want to say, oh, I did this and I did that. Now, if you are a person who's going to say how much you do for somebody else and they never give back, mind, you have absolutely destroyed your service to others because it's collective well-being. It's generosity. People who you loan money to. I'm loaning you some money. I need help. I need to get loaned money. If you don't give that money back, yep, you're going to have financial burdens because karma's a bitch. Yep, you're going to have people looking at you and saying, they never paid me back. Now, I'm going to flip it. If you are that service to other person and you are giving somebody money, you have to get it in your head. You might never get that money back. Anything can happen. Anything. What happens if the person dies before the money is gone? What happens if the person becomes severely handicapped in an accident? Are you still going to hold that pressure over them? Think about that. Service to others. Be careful what you do so there's no remorse and there's no putting it, what's the word I want? You're no longer putting it as a required, you need to pay me back, or I did this and now you need to do this. If you start that, you need some healing. You need to figure out why. Why do I feel this way? Why did I give and now I'm going to be angry about giving? Did you expect something in return? Are you service to self or are you service to others? Where's that line? Where's those boundaries, right? Spiritually, it asks, how may I contribute to something larger than myself? So if you truly are service to others and you're asking yourself this, then service to other person, they often become your volunteers because they've already learned my time is my time. And if this is where I want to spend my time, then everybody is good. And it has to be that way. Not have to. You get to. It just sounds so much nicer. Oh, I get to do it. I get to be able to volunteer. I get to be able to support my family because maybe I had more riches at the time and I'm giving to my family. That's admirable, especially if they're not an immediate within your home, but they're an immediate on the outside, right? So you also have the mentoring side of service to others. That takes a lot. Joel Hunt, I'm going to call you out. Servicing, mentoring others, volunteering your time to help others. NBR folks, they need donations. Here, I'm going to put this little widget up here to this side of your corner. Ready? Here it comes. Where's that widget? Wait, there, service to others. There it is. There it is. Die tired. We are service to others. We were selling t-shirts in a conjoint effort for donations by you. We're selling t-shirts. You get the t-shirt for your money. But then those monies, whatever the money is, say if it's $10, then $5 goes to Die Tired and $5 goes to NBR. When we do a little bit of increments, it makes a larger quantity. When we try to find sources with large money, sometimes it doesn't work in our favor. So mentoring, Joel Hunt, mbradio.us, Military Broadcast Radio. This is mentoring the veterans. This is trying to support them, to give them an awareness that they can still move forward, right? If they don't have any legs, they have a voice. They have a brain, right? Now, if you have a traumatic brain injury, you still have a story to tell. So giving generously helps people heal, and it seeks harmony. This all describes Military Broadcast Radio. It is service to others. Many spiritual teachers, healers, caregivers, veterans, community builders, officers, any first responder operating primarily from this orientation. I'm giving. You know, it is such a blessing up here. You don't have firefighters like you have in the big cities where they get paid to be a firefighter and sit at stations. This is voluntary. All are in our Royal Pennsylvania. It's voluntary fire companies. Yep. They have an area where if you want your wedding there, your reception, they'll make it in the halls that they have. They'll pull the trucks out and make it a beautiful hall. They have a bar set up so that people can come and have a drink and talk. They also have maybe bar food, you know, all these things. They have carnivals. They have washing of cars days, anything to help raise money for the station. They even ask the public. I just saw mine when I came back from my 3 months. I had one here for Ulster. Ulster had an all-you-can-eat pancake and breakfast type of thing. And yep, you paid $20, which is a little bit expensive. But if you think about it, it's not, because that money is going to the volunteer fire company. Service to others. So these people are primarily from all this orientation. And the underlining belief is we are all interconnected. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all that is the I am of consciousness. And that is where that service to others starts. Does that make sense? So if you have a voluntary fire company, go get their breakfasts, go have a drink on them, or go have some bar food, play whatever they have. Most of the times they have, you know, darts or billiards or snooker, or they have some type of game going on inside of there. The same as your American Legions. Now, American Legions are a little bit different, right? Or your veterans of war, your VFWs. So when they're doing those things, they're looking to help in either a veteran that needs some assistance in their community. So if you are not a member, you would have to wait for them to have an organization. Some volunteer companies are the same way. You have to become a member, and it's so cheap. It's like $5 or $8 for the year. It might have gone up. I don't know. But when I was in Danville, I used to contribute to Southside and Warshies and Riverside. So those three volunteers, I used to be a member. It was super cheap at the time. It was like $8 per for the year. So a little bit goes a long way is basically what we're saying. Okay, folks, I got to take a break. I'm going to play another oldie favorite. And this is from Coffee Anderson. You can't spell hero without her. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of biased of it. You're listening to Military Broadcast Radio. I'm MJ, and I'm here on Mondays on this channel with the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, or TWOCPT, TWOCPT. And we will be right back.
Signed up to fight for freedom. What a price you had to pay. Picture in her helmet, missing family every day. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane. Some scars we'll never see. She will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend. Standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her. on that old dusty base with the meadows that shine. She's been to hell and back for the stars and the stripes. Your Lady Liberty, dressed like G.I. Jane, and some scars we'll never see, and she will never be the same. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve, 'cause you can't spell hero without her. Yeah, yes. For the ones that didn't make it, we will pause and then we cry. We can still see their smile in every sunrise. She's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a sister and a friend, standing tall in that uniform until the very end. When Uncle Sam called, she signed that line to serve, 'cause you can't spell hero without her. 'Cause you can't spell hero without her.
Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Keep quacking forward. 90% of what we worry about in future never happens. Whenever
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Hey, we're back. Thank you, Coffee Anderson. You can't spell hero without her. And of course, Beaker with his motivational messages. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's get back. So now let's do the shadow side. We talked a little bit about the shadow side, right, of service to others. So surprisingly, service to others also has a shadow side. Like we talked about the shadow side in service to self, and those really negative, being really just blocked off from life of everybody and doing malicious things. Okay. Service to self was one thing. Service to others now has a shadow side, and many people become trapped in it. Right. So if this service to others, be careful. This is what we were talking about earlier. When you decide to help somebody, it's your choice, But if you make the choice, who are you to then yell at the world about your choices or write about those? So these are the problems with service to others when we are not healed enough to do it. We get martyrdom. We get codependency. People are like, oh, codependency. Do you understand what codependency is? Which is somebody who just rides the tails, right? While everybody else does the work, and then they end up being gratified with everybody else and they did nothing. Well, who's responsible for that? Your leader. Who's your leader, right? Who's the person who's in charge? So we always worked with, you're never as good as a whole. You're only as good as your weakest link, right? So if your weakest link, then service to others needs to be compassionate and understanding the kindness to bring this other person up. That's a codependency. So be careful with service to others about being this codependency, right? Self-neglect, chronic people-pleasing, I'm going to say it again and again, because that one, chronic people-pleasing, you are constantly wanting the validation and the acceptance of the audience when you present. I'm going to tell you, folks, it's impossible. Even Mother Teresa had enemies. It's impossible because people have their own realm in life. People understand differently. People are they want to take something and they want to advance in themselves. So chronic people pleasing can really be a downfall for people who are service to others because you want to make everybody happy. I know somebody like this. Even from the time the gentleman was born, he always wanted people to be happy. 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old. He always wants people to be happy. Well, what did that do to him? It made him depressed because people in general right now are not happy. So somebody who is a chronic people pleaser and people are just angry, no matter what you say, they're going to attack you because you're not going to ever be right. And when you're trying to do that, and it's going to hit you a lot. And then you have rescuing others. Sometimes people need to fall, man. Sometimes people really need to fall in order for them to get back up and go again. The Tower card, right? If you believe in tarot, it's the Tower card, right? The Tower has to go in order for a new beginning. We always talk the road of least resistance. Well, if you take the road of least resistance all the time, then you're kind of this happy, it's okay kind of world. Are you moving and grooving to where you need to be? Sometimes it's going to require us to have a hiccup to get to that next vibration or to that next realm, auric realm into definition. You got to sometimes take that walk up that mountain or, swim across that ocean because this is not, I didn't say but, I said because I have to check my words. So because of this, right, we now have to say, all right, sometimes we have to climb that mountain because I want that next vibrational level. And this is an event in order to break that shadow, those darker shadows. I need to break it. I need to come back in. I need to understand. And so this is what happens when you are rescuing others and chronic people pleasing, and now you have burnout. How many people burn out? Right? I admit it. In my past, I could only do so much for somebody, and then I got completely burnt out with them. And what I do? Yep, I did. I backed away from them. I let them have their own karma. I let them have their own redemptions. I let them have their own problems. They're not my problems. So if you are a service to others, be aware that when to step back and when to step in, and it'll alleviate some of these. So the belief concept here under the shadow side of service to others is everyone else's needs matter more than mine. Oof. Please don't do that. And we all do it, but be aware of it, right? When you're in it. So for me, I have now become very aware. And I appreciate it. Many healers, many empaths, clergy members, nurses, counselors, caregivers experience this imbalance. It's just, there's no more energy left in the tank. We forgot about us. We forgot about service to self. We were look at the nurses and doctors with COVID. How exhausting they must have been, right? Look at the service of our military people on these boats, in the planes, on the fields. Exhaustion, right? Worrying how we're going to protect our family on the front lines. Worrying our brothers and sisters on the front lines. May Archangel, or St. Michael's army, Archangel Michael's army, may they protect them. May they have the shields and the swords for the honor. It truly does create an imbalance. Spiritually, this often creates resentment with others, because one of the hardest things I had to hear as a military person, thinking I was doing service to others, service good. I did. But for those who come back at you and say, well, I didn't ask you for that. I didn't ask you to do it. How do you take that? As a military veteran, especially those who became disabled, protecting their family, their friends, their country, mankind. And then somebody goes, well, I didn't ask you to do that. Ouch. I'll say it. Ouch. You best step back and understand what I just said. Was that ego, MJ? Because I got mad? Yeah, there's a seed. My response my response could have been then, instead of an anger of, are you serious? Look, I'm stumbling of words because I'm still in awe that that person said that. Well, I didn't ask you to do that. Was that egoic? Because I made that statement? When somebody asked me why I joined the military, I said because I wanted to defend my family, my country, my friends, the land I love. And then for people to turn around in that discussion and say, but I didn't ask you to. Compassion, 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 compassion. Where is it? Right? Spiritually, it often creates resentment. The person gives and gives until there's nothing left to give. And because they were service to others, the shadow sides now is going to show them probably the dark horses, right? The dark nights of the soul. You didn't help yourself. You didn't have service to self. Everything in life is a balance. But when our ego and our judgment get to anger, resentment, to where we need to explode, instead of exploding to a counselor, we explode on social media. It's a soapbox because you want the world to know. Now, are you doing it to let the world know who did that to you? Or hoping that that person read it so that you can say, see, they read it. Got to them. That's awful. It is. And that's humanity. Right? Speak up, speak up, speak up, speak up. Use your throat chakra. Well, use your throat chakra with your heart chakra and your crown chakra. Don't just use this, because if you just use this, you might as well be talking out your ass, because your ego and your judgment is just going to hurt you. Talk from your heart. Talk of your truth. Talk of your love. Talk about how it hurts your heart. And understand what your part in it. Well, they didn't ask you to do that. I understood that comment. I didn't ask you to do it. After the ego left, I was like, you're right, you didn't. But I honorably stood anyway. And that's my response. And that should be every veteran's response if you have somebody in your life who says something like that. Well, I didn't ask you to do it. That's egoic. That on that person needs healing. I don't know. Anyway, eventually they wonder, right? Shadow side of service to others is, why does nobody take care of me? There's the soapbox, right? Poor pity me, the martyrdom. When I ask for help, nobody helps me. Really? Nobody? Nobody helps? Did you call the right people? These are things you need to think about, folks. Think about it. These are things that heal. This is why sometimes when energy is really bad, I tell you all, and you see me do it, step out. Step out. Clean up your mess. Think about yourself. Think about where you are. Think about what comment you just made. Think about what you're thinking. Did your mouth get you in trouble again? When are you going to heal that? Right? What you have people in their 50s and still out their mouth with BS in their 50s and their 60s. Oh my gosh. When you get to the senior citizens of the 80s and 90s, you're like, God, just forgive them at this point. because they're stuck. They're stuck in an old belief pattern that they don't know how to get out of, because it is so stacked with events and traumas and other lessons that you just have to have compassion and say, Father, forgive them. They've lost their way. Father, understand the crippling effect of them. So, excuse me. This is why we have the phrase in the shadow sides of service to others, we have the martyrdom. It happens. It happens. I know Capricorn energy very well. And I know a lot of Cappies who would be like, what the heck? Why? Because for us, we become Mrs. Potts. My kids knew Mrs. Potts very well. And they were Chip. If you ever saw Beauty and the Beast, Mrs. Potts and Chip. Mrs. Potts was the teacup, or the teacup was Chip, who had a chip in it. And Mrs. Potts was, of course, the teapot. And so when I would get to the point of exhaustion, or I would blow, and I was like, there's Mrs. Potts, right? Mrs. Potts is now overwhelmingly bubbling and the lid has popped. And you've now brought that out, right? Because it's the constant that, and it's us as humans. If you don't like something, speak up. I understand. Say, it's always an understanding. Unless you really don't understand, then you say, I don't understand this concept that you speak of. Can you explain this to me? Right? You'll hear people say, you have to demand God. No. Nobody demands God. We ask with tones and righteousness. There is not one light worker better than another light worker. There is not one healer better than another healer. There is not one service to others than somebody else. We are all different levels. We are all different kinds. And for those people, we are here to help the energy that most balances with that other person's energy. I've gone through different events in my life that other people haven't gone through. How could somebody who hasn't gone through my events actually help curate the healing of that other person? Even if your service to others, you can try, but you don't have a comprehension of a whole bunch of different radials, right? So know where you are. I'm sorry, I can't help you today. I'm sorry, this isn't here for me today. All of this has to play. All of this has to come to fruition. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with physical manifestations and balance of service to self. So what does that mean? So when we have physical manifestations, the physical signs generally are, when we have service to self, we're in good health habits, right? We have good health habits. We're not eating processed foods. We're exercising. We're drinking our water. We're at least putting in a half hour of exercise in a day. Some people have the Fitbits on their arms, whatever. Your financial responsibility. If nobody has ever taught you finances, maybe you got into somebody who was a financier who can help you understand finances so you're not always struggling with money. Again, we go back. The balance of service to self. Personal accountability. Understanding that you may have hurt somebody's feelings. I am very sorry. Maybe it's an area where you gave up on them. Again, Father, forgive me. I don't care what you say. I'm sorry. I've lost my way. They've lost their way. And then the other one is confidence. So these service to self, when you have physical manifestations to service to self, these are great. These are virtuous attributes to service to self. Now we're going to go to excessive service to self. This becomes awful, because this is now where your narcissistics lie. The physical signs are hoarding resources, exploiting others, either on social medias or on airways, or you're exploiting other people. You're being negative talking about other people. When somebody else's journey becomes your topic of discussion, shame on you. There's too much of that. Look at the news every damn day. Why are you exploiting somebody else's events? Open up your bag of shit events, right? constant competition. You're not in competition to anybody besides yourself. They're not going to be with you at the pearly gates, folks. You are the only one at the pearly gates. So get your act together. You don't need to have competition to have service to self. You're in competition with yourself? Come on. Service to self does not mean competition to others. But unfortunately, when you have service to self, this is what happens. You have that constant battle, competition, and to demand that you're the best of the elite of the elite. Unless you're an athlete who needs that attitude to constantly make yourself work better, but that's only one little smidgen, right? Then you have a lack of empathy. You see somebody struggling and they're crying and you can't understand that emotion. So you're just like kicking them when they're down, I guess. It is a very big, and the last one is isolation. They completely isolate, and that's service to self. So these are the physical signs of excessive service to self. So if you know somebody who is service to self and these are excessive, they need help. Reach out to them. Really reach out. So now we go into the balanced of service to self. So if you are a very balanced service to self and service to others, right? So balance of service to others, the physical signs of service to others are community involvement. You're always willing to help your community or the people around you, your neighbors, right? You have meaningful relationships. You don't just have superficial relationships. You have something that means a lot to you. I'm going to bring my dad back. My dad always told me, how many friends do I have? And I was like this. Oh, I remember I was second grade. Oh, I have this and this, because I would come home and cry. You would hear my comment on here. They're no longer my friend. And my dad goes, well, how many friends do you have? And I'd start. He goes, baby girl. And he used to call me Baby Joe. He goes, Baby Joe. No, you don't have all those friends. He goes, hold your hands up again. So I went like this, and he would bend my fingers. And he goes, you have one friend. Out of all those friends, there will only ever be one who will be service to others, who comes when you desperately need them. Man, I made a lot of acquaintances in life, but true friends, I've had a lot of reasons for seasons. But I have the same friend that I have in high school, the same friend since 7th grade. She's the only friend, that on my birthday, on Mother's Day, on Christmas, she never forgets me, and I never forget her. No matter if I left the area or not, and now that I'm back, it's a beautiful reunion. And then when I left, I found another friend, right? In the military, we call them battle buddies, right? Who you go to battle with, battle buddy. And you would want somebody who's service to others as a battle buddy. We really do, because we know that we're not alone. We know that we're going to be with somebody at all times, and that person has your back, or they're watching out for your back. So those are the balance of service to others, the physical signs: community involvement, meaningful relationships, cooperation, generosity, and emotional intelligence, right? So then you have an excessive. So these people, they're not very balanced. They are completely dedicated to the service of others. And what did we say before? What happens? They get burnt out. They get martyrdom. What about me? I'm done. Then you never see them again. So excessive service to others, the physical signs are exhaustion. They're burnt out. They're adrenal fatigued, and they have chronic stress. Chronic stress means chronic pain, means chronic illness, and difficulty in saying no. So, folks, I suffer with a chronic illness from the military. I do. And that's why sometimes you'll see me, and then all of a sudden you don't see me for a little bit. I come in and out of remissions. Somebody mentioned to me when I had my buildings and I got sick, and they saw that once a year I was getting sick. And they said, are you sure it's a physical ailment? They said, what do you mean by that? They said, I've never met somebody who gives and 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 gives. I said, but I do have service to self. There wasn't a day, a week, and let me just say a week, I didn't have a massage to take out the energies out of my fascia. There wasn't a week that I would not go, not to have, something to help me release any energies that I build up. They said that's not the point. The point is you're physically exhausted and you can't do any more. So it's mentally hurting you. So in that aspect, my empathy side was in full bloom and not my, Claire of sentient. I took on that energy. That's an adrenal fatigue with autoimmune. That's horrible. It left me with my chronic illness. But the awareness of that factor is what I literally, I had to become aware. How am I doing this? And understanding that, where I was. So my waxing and my massage became my service to self, trying to alleviate service to other, burnout, fatigue, exhaustion, right? Or when you have a customer who doesn't want to work on themselves, they just want you to do it. I have been forewarned by my masters. When you have people who continuously come back for the same thing and they refuse to heal themselves, but they feel good for 2 months after we do Reiki sessions or we do healing sessions, they're good. It's a rewire, we call it. We rewire the circuits of the brain. And they feel great for 2 months, but then they come back because they're starting to not feel so good. So at what point, as a counselor or as a reverend, do I come back and say, how are we working on things? Are we working on these bridges? Or he goes, I just can't. I just got to keep going. Okay. So then I have to ask divine, sit in a meditation. Is this healthy for this person? Is this healthy for me? The answer I got was, yes, it's healthy on both accords. They're not ready. When somebody isn't ready to speak or to clear something, they have to know the event's going to keep happening until they actually do speak about it. It's going to be a Mrs. Potts with me because I have a Capricorn temperament, which is let it go. Let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let's hope that divine works itself out. Let's pray. Let's call in Ganesha. Let's do everything possible and talk to the higher self and see if it works out throughout the months or times. And then test the waters. And then we go test the waters. And then things aren't, they're not, and I love the fact that I can see energy because you get lied to so much. And that's okay. One of my masters said, you don't have the right to look at somebody else's energy. I had another master who said, what a beautiful gift that is, but understand that it's there for your knowledge and your awareness, maybe not for you to heal it. Right? Yeah. Lots of things to think about. There's lots of things and trial and error, really, because everybody's their own individual. Everybody has their own concepts. Everybody has their own truths. And truths always come back to say, are they misinformation or is it information that we didn't have at the time? What are these truths? Or the truth is just the truth. And that's plausible too. So this is why I like healing sessions, because when you do healing sessions, divine answers them. I don't. I just have the ability to hold the item to allow them to see for themselves. And then I get the downloads. And then I get to be able to speak. The angels of messages. This is what I am hearing. This is what I am understanding. This is the event that I see as a pattern. Patterns aren't good. Let's remove these patterns, right? So these are all different facets, service to other, service to self. And it can balance and it can be beautiful. So if somebody sees you and says, oh my God, your service to self, does that mean something? And ask them, what does that mean? Why are you saying that to me? On a spiritualist, if they say it, most of the time, they're not even in the understanding. It's truly a negative thing. You can ask them. Do you think service to self is bad? And someone's like, you need to be service to others. It's an unrealistic thought series of an unhealed spiritualist or someone who hasn't gotten to that level. Doesn't mean it's bad, right, and different. Just means they haven't gotten to that level. So let's try again. Spiritual manifestations, and this is service to self path for these manifestations. Spiritually seeks individual powers, masteries, self-sovereignties, and independence. That's service to self. Where am I in this realm of divination? Back into God's love, back into God's arms. I only have so much time on this earth to be a disciple to God. I only have this amount of time, to understand love, kindness, and all the positive attributes that God as humans want us to see. And this becomes that as self-service, service to self, or STS. Yeah. Questions include, who am I? What is my life purpose? Episode 1. What is my life purpose? What is my soul purpose? How often is it, and can I strengthen myself? The healthier versions create strong, capable individuals of having service to others if they get these in line. Service to self first. Heal yourself. How many times have you heard me say that? Especially to my spiritual practitioners. Don't put your hands as Reiki on somebody else if you haven't healed up into your heart, because they're just picking up all those negative, lying vibrations that you have. People who are unhealed will constantly attack spiritual vibrations of the highest positive consciousness. They always attack us. Why? Because you'll hear things like, you're not always right. No, you're right. I'm not. But in conscious positive, I cannot go against it. It's out of my realm, right? Or you point out a probability or a plausibility of a different interpretation into a positive outcome, and they get pissed off because they're not healed. So when somebody gets mad when I say something to try to twist it positive, I smile. I go, oh, okay. Well, hopefully that will work for you. And I back away. They're not ready to be healed. They're not ready to listen. They're not ready. Service to others, service to self. Service to self, I don't want to sit here within this energy because your energy is attacking and nobody wants to be attacked. So until you can heal yourself, I just back away. And you can do the same thing. I'm not defriending you. I'm not, oh, they're not my friend no more. Oh, they unfriended me. That's so stupid. It really is. Social media. Oh, I unfriended them. And that means what? What does that mean? Okay. If service to self made you unfriend somebody because you didn't like what they said, then I suggest you look at your roots. Now, if somebody is just being blasphemy and just being downright ugly and nothing nice to say, I can understand pausing the notifications. But at some point in life, they're your friend because you either met them, you helped them, service to others, services, however it was. Maybe they were an in-law. Maybe they were, I don't know, a family member. Okay. Do we have some healing to do? Because you can't stand conscious positive awareness. Awareness is what it is. So those questions, who am I? What is my purpose? How can I strengthen myself? It's the healthier version that creates a strong, capable individual. And the unhealthy version just creates separation consciousness. So understand the energy that you're in. And if you don't, back away from it. It's all good. Back away from it. Service to others path. So if you are in the service to others path, spiritually, you seek unity. You seek compassion. You seek collective healing. And you seek connections. This is spiritually seeking service to others. Those questions then may include, or have to include, not have to, but should, nope, not should, just include it. How can I help? How can I contribute? How can I alleviate suffering? The healthy version creates communities. It creates groups. It creates an atmosphere of blessed and loved. I miss Miami people, my customers, my clients. I miss them. 30,000 of them in a year would walk in my stores with smiles, with sadness, with disappointment, with discernment, with every emotion possible, but they always come back for healing, for justification, for awareness and understanding. So, on both sides, we have to understand that we also have to be service to self during the higher peaks of an energetic, world energetic that might be on a lower vibration. COVID was one of those. The scared, the depressed, the anxious, the stressed. These were all emotions about COVID. My thoughts, my words were saying, child, you are loved beyond time and space. We are not here to last forever. If it is your turn, validate, appreciate, and love and honor everybody around you. Understand that if you have things this time, you're not to be going into work, you're not to be, doing all these other things. So why not then give that break? Why not have a time for you? Right? Understanding somebody else's trauma. Maybe you've already gone through it. Maybe that's why they're there, because you got yourself out of it. MBR, MB radio, military broadcast radio, the veterans, they got into PTSD, depressions, anxiety, stressfulness. And some of the people, me, who came out of those, they're hard. You have to be able to talk down your ego and your conditioned response patterns from man's verbal brain. It is a constant reminder, right? Practiced, conditioned, all those words. Yeah. The unhealthy version creates self-sacrifice without wisdom. So when you're unhealthy, these all create a self-sacrifice, the martyrdom. That's not the area you want to be. Pull up, pull out, I don't care. Find help, figure it out. Ask yourself, why do I continuously do this? Is there a reason for this season? Is this person in my life to make me learn something? Did I ask them to be the catalyst? All these things. They're beautiful. When you stop and not to be in a hurry, that damn clock, like I thank God for certain people in my life. I'm going to call her out too. Her name is Becca. Time doesn't exist. Becca, when I used to run my business, it was always, oh my God, where's Becca? She goes, time, everything will be fine, MJ. Breathe. I will be at the right place at the right time. And it always works out. For somebody who is clock monitoring wise, that was who I was. The military made me like that. My dad made me like that. My husband made me like that. They're all about times. I was like that. Time. I barely have clocks in my house. And the clocks that I do have, none of them are the right time. It frustrates the hell out of some people who come to my house. They're like, does any of them work? I only have like 3 clocks. And they're all in the kitchen. And none of them are the right time. Because they're all analog clocks. And so we lose power a lot. And I just got done tired of fixing it. I'm just going to put a piece of tape over it. That way nobody sees the time. That's the way of fixing it, right? Because I don't have time up here. It's funny. I don't set my alarm for this show, but yet God puts me here every time for my show. Isn't that funny? If you have the faith, you let that faith allow, and it just becomes that beautiful. So what types of people are we talking about here, though? Let's predominantly service to others. What type of people? These are your spiritual teachers, your reverends, your ministers, your priests, your archbishops. These are all service to others. Nurses, doctors, they're all service to others. Counselors, social workers, firefighters, parents. Believe it or not, you're service to others. You create a child, or you adopt a child, or a stepchild. You're service to others. Don't forget that. You're a big part of service to others and teaching those. So if you are a parent who neglects the child and constantly is on a TV or a phone, and you make that child, that is their best friend, you're not going to have a connection with your child. It's not the child's fault. It's the parenting. Find the time. Ministers, humanitarians, energy healers, these beautiful Buddhas, monks, our beautiful lady, Mother Teresa, these are beautiful people. Saint Benedict, Saint Francis of Assisi. These are service to others. Wan Yin, Saraswati. These beautiful, beautiful people who have been either honored by sainthood or demigod, or however that they hierarchy these people. All of them. Kings and queens, they're not really service to others. They have yet to show that. I'm very hopeful with Princess Catherine and Prince William. They follow a very spiritual path. In kindness, they follow the heart chakra. They're not so cold as, Queen Elizabeth or King Charles. They're not cold or like Camilla. They're very soft. They're very warm. They're inviting. They're looking to create the assistance for humanity. That's what I like about Catherine and William, right? Those are humanitarians. Those are the people who are service to others and wanting to help wherever they can. Our president, I don't care. Some people are going to say, no, it's not. Yes, he is. How many pieces did he find in wars? You're just angry for whatever reason. And off your high horse, you can see the good. Look at Washington, D.C. As a child, we took field trips to Washington, D.C. living here. And it was beautiful. The gardens, we used to put our feet. It was so beautiful. The fountains. I went there about, 10 years ago. It was horrible. The graffiti, none of the fountains were working. It was dirty. It was grungy. The energy was shitty. I don't know what's going on in Washington, D.C., but kudos to whoever has cleaned that crap up. Hands down. It's a beautiful place. You're actually seeing people by the fountains again, putting their feet in, having a social conversation outside. It's safe again. Wouldn't you like that in New York City or L.A.? Come on, people. Dallas, Atlanta, these major cities are taking a beating. And if you so much on my channel want to point a finger at any particular one person, you have completely missed service to others and service to self. Anyway, that's my tidbit for whatever it's worth. Though not always with all these professions, a person's profession does not determine their orientation. Please remember that. Somebody could be a nurse, but still be service to self, right? I had a veteran. He was the rep for the vets in this area. I asked him for assistance because of one of my illnesses being autoimmune and neuroimmune. The minute my husband walks out to a store, I get sick. So I'm like, I can't work anymore. My immunities are really too low. So I went back. I said, is there a program? He goes, no. He goes, I think you're living high off the hog. That was his response to me, Mr. Peter Miller. I don't think so. And then when you start talking to, the local people in the neighborhood, like your tax assessment people at the courthouse, and they have issues with you as well, you are no longer service to others. You're service to self, and you're being very mean about it. That's not a person who should be veteran for a rep for our veterans. I wanted to do something about it, but I got sick and I got, it got sidetracked. But I want that. I want that for the veterans here in this rural area. I don't need somebody like that, especially when you're yelling at the beautiful ladies and the older ladies in the courthouse about taxes and assessments. And it's just, I'm sorry. It doesn't need to be like that. Maybe that's why the veterans are depressed, because you have people like that who are working for veterans to try to help veterans. They're not service to self, not others, making that kind of statement. And it's not even about them and their awards and their monies and their grants. But because they don't have it, they don't want you to have it either. Woo, that's a big one. Service to self. So, okay. Predominantly, service to self can include entrepreneurs, right? An entrepreneur is about the income to themselves and how much they have to work to get it. Makes sense. Competitors, service to self. Leaders, service to self. Defend yourself first, right? So it has to be service to self. Innovators, athletes, artists seeking masteries. These are all service to self. Look at your liberals. They will go starving themselves until they audition and they get picked up. Now, if they don't have a support system, what are they doing? They're living on the streets, or they're finding little mundane jobs until some audition goes right for them. Sometimes my heart hurts for these artistries. Sometimes you see an artist who didn't have that, you got to be at the right place at the right time. And you see that. It's hard. But then when they start taking the stance, thinking, well, it's probably because the stance I'm taking, and then they want to go over to the far, far, far right or the far, far, far left. And you're like, God, just come back in the middle. Balancing. Service to self and service to others, major balance in life, major. So again, neither is good nor bad. It's trying to find that balance so that you are not escalating to a good or a bad. Many societies' greatest achievements arose because someone devoted themselves intensely to personal excellence. Again, is one better than the other one? No. Most wisdom traditions suggest neither extreme is ideal. The healthy tree does not apologize for taking nutrients from the soil, nor does it keep all of its fruit for itself. It allows its fruits to be eaten, service to others. Right? Does that make more sense? It receives, it grows, and it gives. The cycle is complete. Nature itself demonstrates balance. Look at the trees. Watch them. Look at the sunshine. Yet, as the sun shines, it also conserves energy. The river nourishes life, yet it maintains its even flow, its own flow. Sometimes it'll have too much water. It's going to go faster. Sometimes it doesn't have, but it still pushes. That river still nourishes our life, no matter what flow it is. The heart receives blood before it pumps blood outward. Our own heart. Service to itself because it needs the oxygen in order to be service to others to control all the other organs in our body. It's just that simple, folks. Giving and receiving are inseparable. They really are. Our spiritual balance, a mature spiritual path often involves into service to self enough to remain healthy, grounded, and sovereign. Service to others enough to contribute meaningfully to the world. See that balance? Now the question shifts from, shall I serve myself or others? To, how do I become whole enough that my life naturally benefits others? You see how that twisted? You see how we could twist that and it just made it so beautiful? That's what I'm talking about. Let's get into the chakras, because the chakra perspectives of service to self and service to others, here we go. So for a balanced service to self in our root chakra, safety, security, and healthy survival. But in an imbalance, it's fear, hoarding, and scarcity. That's not good. Our sacral chakras, to be balanced for service of self and service to others, it's self-worth and healthy desires. The imbalance is overindulgence, addictions, and dependencies. That's our sacral. Now we go into our solar plexus, all right, our breadbasket, which is where everybody normally harbors everything. If it's balanced, you have personal power and you have confidence. You abode confidence. But if you have an imbalance, now it has control and denomination, and that solar plexus. There's that good old Capricorn, right? Control. that matrix. But you can fix it. Once you become aware of it, now you can fix it. And it's just beautiful and brilliant when you do. And then you get to the heart chakra. When you have balance, you have compassion. That's right, folks. Compassion. You have love and you have ultimate forgiveness. Forgiveness of all. That imbalance, self-sacrifice, and martyrdom. That is not a good place to be. So then we move into our throat chakra. We talked a little bit about that. Excuse me one second. Aw. Our throat. So we go to the throat chakra, which we already talked about a little bit, but you have your balanced, which is your honest expressions. They're your truth of honesty with endearment and compassion and kindness and understanding. That is our throat. We have to have these, which means all this has to be cleared to verbalize. Our imbalance is silence from fear and speaking to manipulate what it is that you want. Those are not good qualities. This is the imbalance of how it got too far. And now we have to fix it. We have to heal that. We go to our third eye. Our third eye is here. Our third eye balance means that we have the wisdom and we have discernment. When it is not, and it's on an imbalance, we have ridicule, we have personal ego, and we have judgment. Inside of our crown to be balanced is unity, consciousness, and divine connection. Conscious awareness of positive consciousness. Even if they are on unconscious thought processes can turn into positive consciousness. So I hope that gives you some idea about our energies of being service to self or service to others. Both qualities are very, very good and are very needed in our realm between our right and our left side of our spiritual brains and our logistical or our logical brain, right? So pay attention, become discerned or become concerned, right? Do it. Do it. Do it for yourself. Become that aware person. Become conscious aware. I tell you, it is the best word out there in any type of religional or spiritual practicing is the awareness. When you can become silent in awareness, you become a vibration radio beacon for positive conscious light for others. Some won't get it because they're unhealed, and some will lash out. Some will call you witch. Some will call you, idiot. Some will call you, a DEI person. I've been called so many things. And when I look at them, I look at it and just go, may God bless you because you are so unhealed to actually see it. It's hard. It is a very hard thing not to yell back at somebody, because we are conditioned human beings, especially in the military, to let somebody have it and to stand in your power and to stand in your ground. Try to stand in the ground of consciousness that is positive, that is appealing and compassionate and kind and understanding. It's a different world. The trees get greener. The grass gets browner and darker and rich in soil. Your movements in life become bearable. There's no more headaches. There's no more health traumas. When you can become compassionate and you can become that service to your own self to heal when it needs, and that service to others. I'm going to end the show early today. So my final reflections. One of the greatest spiritual misunderstandings is believing that loving yourself and serving others are separate paths. In reality, they are two halves of a whole of the same circle. When service to self lacks compassion it becomes domination. When service to others lacks self-respect, it becomes martyrdom. The most evolved expression may be, I honor my own soul while honoring the souls of others. From that place, service is no longer an obligation. It's a sacrifice or a strategy. It becomes a natural expression of a life lived in balance, wisdom, and love. And may you all find love. And may you all find that kindness within your heart. And may you all balance equally service to self and service to others, because both is needed. When we go to the extremes, may somebody be able to assist you and call it out and say, hey, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit. Let's look at this. Let's understand and be discerned how our anger has just gotten to us. We are a beautiful being. We're constantly helping others. And yes, there's roots in these seeds within all of us that we have to heal and honor. I always say God put them there to test us. Are you ready for this? How are you going to handle this? Once you become aware and heal something, you will. They'll bring it back. And that same energetic level or pattern to see, this is just another way of that same energy trying to sneak up on me, but I gotcha. And the answer is still the same. I love you unconditionally for whatever choice that you're going to make. I love you. Let's try to make the best choice possible that serves the highest good of all. All right. That's service to self and service to others. May we have learned something today. May we have, with grace and humility, be thankful that we are capable as human beings to make the most beautiful choices in our life and for divine reality. Today, folks, it is a beautiful day outside. We're almost to the summer solstice. Next week, it is Are You My Father? Yeah, it's going to be the Monday before Father's Day, so it'll be almost a week away. But I don't want to do it Monday after because there's too much in my life going on, and I want to make sure that I really honor our fathers. So next Monday, the show is already out there. It's already scheduled in the events on MBR and on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, Are You My Father? It's going to mirror Are You My Mother, but we're going to use the male energies and figure out all of those and why fathers need to be honored and they need to have our love. So today, thank you all much for showing up. May the angels carry you with peace, love, joy, grace, and abundance of what it is that you desire most. See you next week, folks. This is MJ signing out. Military Broadcast Radio right here on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking. See you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.